Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of Live Positive. It is July 5th, 2018, and it is blazing hot in Florida. And yet, I'm drinking hot coffee. Don't understand it. Don't know why, because you have to have the air conditioning down to like 68 degrees. And then you get all cold. Then you walk outside. Nevertheless, we're here. Awesome Live Positive today. We're going to talk about how to be a better you. I know we all struggle with that, try to figure that out. We've all been through stuff. But how do you become a better you? And we're going to welcome our good friend Poppy, who's taken over the interwebs with her. She's living positive every single day. So stay tuned for this edition for Live Positive. It's Thursday.
Hey now. This is a serious message.
It's time for Live Positive with Jeff Adams.
Nice.
Hey now.
Nice.
Live Positive sponsored by BeLive.tv.
Hey now.
Join the revolution. Create a Facebook Live.
Hey now.
Sign up today and get a free trial.
Nice. Oh, nice.
All right. Want to make sure nothing's frozen here in the studio because it is cold. I had to turn up the AC, which is crazy. I mean, Florida is absolutely ridiculous in the summertime. And then we are in July and it's freaking hot out there. But welcome to another edition of Live Positive. I am Jeff Adams. We've been doing this show, for a little while now, maybe 8-9 months here at BeLive.tv. We do it every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where you have a chance to live positive. And if you're feeling mopey, you're feeling down, you've tuned into the right program today. And we appreciate you stopping by and sharing some love, because that's what we do on this show. We try to lead you on a path when you're down, because there's so much negative news on Facebook, right? Let me adjust the camera so I can see what's going on in the Be Live chat. People saying, yay, Poppy, don't already say that she's taking over the interwebs. Hello. I want to say hello to all of you. But once again, folks, this is Live Positive. It's a show maybe to give you some giggles and laughs, a good time, and a motivational talk. And a couple rules that we try to do. If you find something that strikes your fancy, share the broadcast. You know someone that's down, and then we're talking about, hey, I need to be a better person. I'm struggling here. Share the broadcast. And we also need your engagement. It's so crucial in this broadcast, because without you in the chat, we're kind of lost. You can, ask the questions, share your thoughts. We bring it up on the broadcast, and you are part of the show just as much as me and Poppy are going to be part of the show. Without you, there is no show. And it's powered by BeLive.tv. You saw a little shindig commercial earlier, and BeLive.tv is a platform where you can do your own Facebook Lives and do amazing things. You might say, hey, this guy with the headphones on, he's still stuck in radio. Yes, I can do a better Facebook Live than he can, and I encourage you to do so. Go to BeLive.tv, sign up for a 14-day free trial, and you can be off to the races doing a better Facebook Live than I can do it. I'm telling you, once you start doing this, you will love it. Everybody, and the more people I talk to about this platform, they get excited. Like, this is perfect for me. I always wanted to do my own broadcast. Sign up today. Get a free 14-day free trial, and you can bring in guests. You can bring in comments like this. It's absolutely fantastic, and you can be doing your own show. There you go. Once again, share the broadcast, folks. It's so important, and let's all live positive. So anyways, is this camera a little bit blurry? I feel like it's a little bit blurry here. I can't really tell. Maybe it's my glasses. I need a new prescription with my glasses. But let's look at the chat room one more time. Everybody saying hello, everyone. Cheryl's in the house, and Cheryl is a phenomenal being. She took on the task of booking guests for Live Positive, and she is just an amazing soul. So let's give Cheryl a round of applause before we get going. And I also want to know, people in the chat, did you guys, if you're in on the state side and in America, did you guys have a good July 4th? What did you do? Typical barbecue stuff. I love July 4th. I love the season of July 4th. The only reason I've been trying to diet, so a lot of the stuff I was just trying to breathe in without gaining weight. But there's just certain seasons, there's certain smells and things that happen during certain times of the year. And yesterday was just one of those epic days. People are so nice in here. Yeah, a little blurry. Let me try to fix this real quick. I'm going to switch cameras and I will talk, but I'm going to multitask here because that's what I do is I multitask here. But let me try to focus in a little bit better. See if that helps. This is a PDZ cam. That's a little bit better, maybe? No? Let's see. All right, there we go. Wait a minute. There you go. That's a little bit better. So anyways, we're going to have a great show. And I'm so glad you guys are hanging tuned. And maybe are you guys working today? Are you playing hooky? Because let's be honest, folks. When a holiday falls in the middle of the week, it's so hard to function. I thought I was in the weekend. I'm like, man, I felt like last night driving back from the beach, it was a Sunday night and going, hey, I got to work. Did you guys play hooky today or did you go into work? And, I'm working today because I'm doing Be Live. I couldn't stop the show because of holiday. The show must go on. So in any event, today we are talking how to be a better you. How do you do that? We go through things in life and sometimes we take baggage with us and we try to take them from relationship to relationship. We hang on to things and because we don't want to deal with, this. We always think sometimes, it takes two to tango, but sometimes, folks, you got to take a look at yourself and you want to live a happy, healthy life, right? So I think this guest, without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest up and introduce her. And I became aware of her probably a month ago through Cheryl. And I started watching some of Poppy's live, and she's doing, when I see in my feed now, she's doing lives every single day, it looks like. She's really, really busy, very positive soul. Let's bring her up on the broadcast right now. Everybody give a round of applause for Poppy!
Yay! Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good. How wonderful. This is extraordinary. Here we are doing it again.
That's it. So background, tell the audience, for people that don't know who you are, what you do with the amazing thing. I always like to ask people the same question. I know it gets tiresome, but it's amazing what you're doing with live streaming. How are you changing the world with live streaming? Can you share that real quick?
Wow. Yes. I guess by doing life on camera, really. I'm not... There's no real plan. I guess it's the question that I was just live with Lou Martin. We do that every 2 weeks, every fortnight. What is my intention and does it serve me and the person I would like to be, the greater me? We can ask that of ourselves. What's my intention here? So my intention with lives is I'm a clinician, I'm a psychologist, psychotherapist and a coach. And with a lot of practice, a lot of different kinds of people, I'm also, I've come from color, and mess and weirdness and madness and crazy. I met a lady yesterday and she said, what do you do? I said, I'm a psychologist. And she said, have you ever had maybe some emotional issues? And I'm like, fuck lady, big style. This is how I know how to talk about it. So I'm sharing what I know with the intention that it's useful. And if it is, great. And if it isn't, well, then there's other people that you can look at,
Right.
So there's a great heap of a plan, but I'm doing what I can with what I got, as it were.
Yeah. And that's the amazing thing too. I was having a conversation yesterday. Me and Lori were out at the beach and I was sharing that. I think I was having a conversation with my friends, Robert and Tish, and we were about to venture out. And I said that I said, if there was one thing in life I would be doing differently, I think I'd probably become a counselor. Because the only reason I didn't do that is because, I'm this huge creative guy and my mind's always going, 100 miles a minute, very creative guy. But I looked at it and it's like, I should have went to school for it. But then I looked at the long journey and I'm going to lead up to this question here. I'm not babbling on here, but I looked at the journey just for being a counselor, like, stateside, the rules and regulations with it, 4 years, 2 years, you got to be under somebody, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, man, and I find like doing a show like this is so much more fulfilling, because I don't have to. And if someone's on the show, they say, hey, I'm really struggling. I always refer them to a professional and say, hey, we're not professionals here, but you are a professional, so we can refer them to you from now on. But how was that journey with you? Like when you felt this calling to help people, what was that journey like for you?
It's an extraordinary journey. And obviously there are different ways of doing it and training. But what I'll say firstly, because I think it's important, is screw the university and college and whatever. Honestly, we are counselors, all of us. We are mentors, all of us. We're brilliant, to go to school to study and so on. I can say a bit about how I did it, but we've done the work. We've been in the school of study, the university of life. The important thing in my mind is that we reflect on what's informed us, what shaped us, what the pain points are, the fucking shit stuff that we've been through. What did you learn? The gift is there, the learning is there. And we find mentors who are creative, dynamic, informed, intelligent in whatever that means. And we learn from them to be better versions of us. And we coach. This is why there's a coaching boom, is because everyone's like, ooh, you mean you can do stuff and get paid and just be you and not really study much? It's not terrifically regulated yet. So, we get to be savvy when we go to be taken care of with other people. But I saw a show with you guys recently and you were saying, well, we're not counselors. And I thought, well, okay, we can be responsible by saying, I'm not clinically informed, therefore I'm not offering you clinical advice in terms of your psychology or whatever. But equally, we have lived enough. And in my view, so long as we have the humility to be able to say, I don't know it all, and not one size fits all, and my experience isn't yours, and I'm not telling you what to do, I'm showing you. If people are walking their talk for health, so for example, if I ever look for a mentor or a coach or a therapist or counselor or any of them and all of them, because I need them all, want them all, I look, are they walking their talk? Financially, what do they look like? Physically, what do they look like? Emotionally, they treat somebody who's, seemingly they wouldn't necessarily have to be nice, then they're employable in my book. If they just have a gazillion degrees, I work with a lot of people who are very, very prolific, robust training, and they're fucking shit in this world because they're not walking their talk with love, Exactly. However, sometimes we're really great and we can teach academically. But if we're looking for health and vibrancy and love and energy in practice, then we need someone who's actually practiced. They're living what they're doing. We don't go to, we do go to people for advice on things that they're not great at. We're not going to do well, So for me, it was my second degree, my master's degree in counseling, psychology and psychotherapy. And I thought, geez, if I knew the path before I started, I would never have done it. Because
why is it? Because of the whole process and the rules and
so much politics, but equally, a lot of people in our culture, and this is, I guess my whole thesis of how I talk about anything is we are cowardly in life, people in our culture. We don't look to what suits me, what serves me, what's the right thing for me, hand on heart. We're bullshitters. So, and that, in my opinion, is an epidemic in our culture. So in a lot of the schools, there are people, therapists or trainers who are, there are some brilliant ones, obviously. It's like any profession. You're going to find brilliant people, but you're also going to find people who are trying to cut corners and they're sick. And my profession, psychotherapy and psychology, attracts very sick people, sick mentality in the best ways. And I include myself in that we're damaged, goods in part. And in we have stories. In others, we're the most healthy people you're ever going to meet. So we need to be careful because we have stories, and if we're not looking at our own stuff and our journey and our personal experience, which doesn't mean that everybody's the same, if we're not really investigating our own psychology and then we're teaching and advising other people, we're abusive.
Right.
Off because we need a lot of clinical supervision. If you're working clinically, in my opinion, you need a clinical supervisor. If you're a psychotherapist, in my opinion, you need a psychotherapist. You don't do this. And I meet a lot of people who are very good, who don't have mentors and coaches and people advising them to be the healthy versions of them. And it's a misuse of a very important position, in my view. Right. And so, I taught in a university that was just like, I studied there for a master's, and I left because they were not walking their talk, basically. They were about making money, because these institutions, they'll take your money. But equally with any training, if you go to a university, I would say, be mindful that one, they're making you money, and two, by the time you've come out 3 years later, it's all old stuff that doesn't work anyway.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do it, but I am saying don't. I'm saying find a really, really informed mentor and bust a gut to work with them and learn from them as you're doing it, as opposed to, I meet so many people, they're so incredible. Like you,
Right.
for example, you could go, well, maybe I could coach on the side or whatever. Great. Find a fantastic mentor who's solid as a rock and do it. Rather
Absolutely.
than, I don't have the 100 million grand. It was 100 grand I spent on my different degrees and whatever, which is okay.
Oh my gosh. Is that but not the prize? Is that paid off now?
Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, it makes me money every moment, waking moment. However, I'm still training. This is 20 years plus. I'm still training.
Wow.
I'm always training because I want to make sure that I know what's working and integrate it to share it. And I'm not saying I'm doing it the right way and everybody else. What I'm saying is we all have a profound gift of healing in us. And it doesn't have to be just because professor or doctor blah blah says you have to take this loan and do it this way and go to this school, and screw that. What's going on with you, who impresses you and why, and get busy thinking about that one, because we do this, you know.
And I always agree that you know, and this is my personal opinion too. I feel like, you know, with professionals there's a really strong need for them, and I think what we're talking about today is become a better you, is basically when you're so stuck in your ways and you don't even realize that you need help, is when a professional needs to come in and just like, hey, snap out of it. Because normally in our environment, we listen to people around us, you know, in so many levels. And if we're not really, you know, listening to them, or we become hard-hearted and we just don't take a message, it's always good to get a professional involved to kind of break the ice. Like, hey, you're in here and there's like a neutral ground where, you know, you're kind of building the trust, you know, with client, counselor, what have you. And it's so good for that in itself to kind of like shake you out of it. I've been there so many times in my life. I've been in like these cycles, and I go talk to a professional and it breaks me out, because I'm like, wow, I did not see it that way. Because you know, your friends, you're tight with your friends, your relatives, and they're going to be real with you, but there's so much closeness there sometimes that you get defensive, and you put up these walls and say, you know what I'm talking about. But that's what I love about counselors and professionals doing this, is because there is such a strong need for it. And people and Poppy, you know, encourage people too that it's not a bad thing to have a counselor at all, because it's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's imperative in my opinion. And I would say that, of course, because I'm a clinician. But the thing with us is we are teaching now, like now, you and me. And if you're a father, or any mothers and fathers here, or when we go buy a croissant or whatever, we're teaching people with our behavior what's okay and what's not okay. So in my opinion, and it's easy to say when you're at a side where, you know, I feel quite strong. It's easy to say we have a duty to be looking at, what am I putting into the world? Is it positive, negative? Because it's pretty much black and white. We can do a binary rating on everything and everyone. Is it serving me? Is it empowering me? Is it not? And what are you going to do about it? So for me, and I meet a lot of people, a lot of coaches as well, and they're like, oh God, I have to, you know, maybe I'm even thinking about a therapist and my insurance doesn't pay. And it's kind of like, hang on a minute. Really, it's not about therapies for the damaged or the disturbed or the mentally ill. This is here as a reflective tool for us to say, where am I strong? Where am I hurt? Where am I repeating patterns that my mother didn't know any better because she was just doing what she knew? Where can I open my eyes and take the gift of this life so I can give something really more informed and powerful and happy and loving to somebody else? So it's not, you know, and of course, for us as people, it's always we reach rock bottom, right? And we've lost the house, the partner, and the health and everything. Then we do something which is arrogant and backward, obviously.
It really is.
Well, and if we look at our society, our culture, we're the most, I say this so much, overwhelmed, suicidal, addicted, fat, ill, bitter, hating. And equally, we're waking up and we're the most defiant. So there's real, you know, uprising, obviously. But also there's a piece in there about be careful with projection of you're a professional, because some professionals are abusive. Just
Right.
because they have a professional title, it doesn't mean very much at all necessarily. I remember, because I had a big depression many years ago, and I had a psychiatrist, and I went to him, and I was feisty because I've been in the field. I've worked with a lot of people, and there are some crazies in this field. And again, there are some middle ones. And he was brilliant. He was Googling. He was saying, tell me that again. I'll just have a look. He was open to being informed about what are the most effective treatments in the field now and so on. He was he had humility about him.
Right.
There's a lot of people, and it's the same with lawyers and doctors and anybody. Sometimes when we feel insecure, we'll use our tie or our degree or our training to be this important special thing. And when people have low self-esteem or they're not great at having their corner, they'll defer to the power. And then we're in the hands of somebody who,
Right.
what's their rationale for the drug they're suggesting or the document this, let's get savvy with this. And if we're not, we take somebody who is, to say, with respect and with love, this is my loved one, and I want to know that we're here for the right reasons. So prove to me why you charge what you do, etc., etc.
Can I ask you a question though? You talked about there are some abusive people out there. How would one decipher if they're seeing professional help, and how could you decipher someone being abusive? Is it because it's like a fine line? Because normally when you're with a professional, they're going to tell you some things you necessarily don't want to hear. So how do you decipher, if someone's really abusive in the professional realm of helping you?
Well, firstly, to be clear, any profession is going to have brilliant people, abusive people, the good enough, etc. In my field, a lot of counselors are good enough, but we need super shrinks. We need the people who really get the manipulative hiding kind of stuff that we do, because we're very complex as people. So we do our homework. We look for credible sites where people have specific training. So in the US, I'm not so up on it, but in the UK, it would be the Health and Care Professions Council and the British Psychological Society. It would be, you look at testimonials from other clients. Why is this person effective? What is the research, the outcome studies? Where is it? Let's have a look at it. Could I speak to a client of yours? Absolutely not. Boundaries, etc. Well, what testimonials do you have? Do you have video work of you working? Well, you don't film video because it's inappropriate. Well, are you open to it not being inappropriate? Perhaps. Would you do a Facebook Live so we can see you, etc.? And I get, many of us, we get defensive of, you're picking at me and, you should trust and so on. Well, yeah, but equally, let's have our corner here and be open that if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to hide. It's not one size fits all. Because, for example, perfect example of a therapeutic encounter I had once. I went in my mid-20s to a therapist, and she said, well, if you're going to think like that, you may as well take a gun and shoot yourself in the head. And I was like, wow. And I left, and I had the knowledge to leave, and I was really in trouble. I was in a lot of trouble. My friend was also seeing her, who was also in a lot of trouble, and it motivated the hell out of her.
Wow.
So, it's a tough one. And there are people in my profession who are ballsy and they take risks. So when I work with, risk, for example, risk assessment, we're very scared of that in my profession. It will be, well, what's the plan? And what would you like to tell people if you want to go ahead with it? It is a personal choice at the end of the day, what you do with your life, moment to moment.
Right.
And so on. So we do our homework, but also ultimately, I guess the punchline is we can't lose, we can learn.
Absolutely.
Worst case, somebody says something. What do you feel about it? What do you want to say about it? Who do you trust to talk to? Who's worthy of your trust to say, this happened? What do you think? So this is what I was saying to somebody yesterday is we can't upset each other and we can't, disturb each other. We can and we need to, because we're quite fucked right now. A lot of people, epidemics of suicidality and anxiety and all of this stuff. We're suffering. We're really suffering and playing it safe. Oh, I won't say anything in case I upset. Well, please do upset, because we need to be moved right now.
Right. And why do you think people resort to that? Do you think it's a lot of hurt and pain? Like, it's a common thing that we're taught in society, like when we're very young, like, hey, how you doing today? And we say, good. And you, because we're too scared to really show people how we really feel. I think I can never really do that. The people that know me is like, if someone asks me, hey, how you doing? And they know me, they'll see it in my eyes that I'm not okay. It's an eye thing. Why do you think we resort to these superficial answers when we're trying to, find a way, when we're talking about becoming a better you? Why do we resort to these superficial answers? Because of all the pain and anxiety that we're dealing with, depression?
Fear of rejection, punishment, judgment, fear of not being seen. See, I had Oprah say this once. We want to be seen, heard, understood, and made to feel that we matter. We do. We crave it desperately, but we equally fear it. But what if they see me? Does that mean they're going to know that I have these thoughts that are negative? Or, we want people to be present to us, but then we also reject it. It's like a lady the other day, we have this group, This Is For Me and For You, a Facebook group, which is free for people to come in and just play around and see and talk about human issues. And somebody offered to pay for her to do Thrive, which is a program I do about assertion and boundaries. $20. And she said that would make me really uncomfortable. The woman was offering. It's a mini miracle. Somebody's saying, I will pay for you to have a masterclass of 14 videos done because I love you, because I want to offer to you. And the woman says, I couldn't possibly. That would make me feel terrible.
Right.
Well, how's it working for you without that? Because I'm guessing there's room for improvement because we all have space to improve our message. So many of us, we're a bit stuffed because we want people to understand us, but we don't want to say, well, do you mean it when you ask if I'm okay? Because I'm going to tell you.
Dale has a question in here. He says, do you prefer Christian counselor or non-Christian counselor? What's your take on that?
It's totally irrelevant to me where somebody's coming from in terms of their own personal belief system. To me, my religion, for example, is love.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what's informing you. If your intention is about how do I love myself in a way that I can be the most present and attentive to this soul person in front of me. So right. Some people find that very important. And again, it's a personal choice. But to me, it's irrelevant what sort of methods people are using. And research says this about psychotherapy, by the way, is it's really not about the method, the tradition, the technique. It's about the person in front of you and what they're doing with that technique.
Yeah, and that's so important too. That I was having a conversation. Was it Tuesday night? Yeah, Tuesday night about the same thing. It became political and religious, and I said those are the two things that people immediately put up walls about. Like if it's about, we have this mindset that we're people that you can convert somebody. Basically when you put those two things down and you learn to love somebody for who they are, there's such a powerful thing that happens. And I got to tell you, I went through 2 years of therapy, and the guy I was seeing was a Buddhist, but it had nothing to do about Buddhism. It had everything to do with the person telling me, because he was on a journey of stuff that I was going through, and he walked through it. And and to this day, I still haven't found anybody. When I go up for tune-ups from time to time, when I go see a professional, I still haven't found someone as transparent as he was. I mean, he's not here; he moved, or I would still go see him. But he was absolutely phenomenal. And I think people put a lot of pressure on, this person's got to be. And I say this not just for the counseling sake. I say this in general for friends. And we put so much pressure, political beliefs, religious beliefs, and we put this so much pressure. Like, if you don't believe what I believe, this can't happen. And it's very, very uncomfortable. But I want to go to a comment I saw in here too. Suzanne, if you're still here, I saw your comment. She says, and this is for you, Poppy. My therapist told me my husband would leave me if I didn't do something. And what do you like? That's a good topic too. Like relational, a lot of counseling for relationships as well. It's becoming a better you. What are some topics, when you see something that's toxic, if you see two people that just need a timeout? But I've heard people, and I've been in situations like, hey, you guys should, completely separate. And my viewpoints on, if you're like married or, you're in a relationship, it's primarily marriage. Separation can be a great thing, right? If the two are committed. But for me, my beliefs, it's like when you separate a relationship, I feel like it's doomed. When you have one party that's not willing to adjust and they're just there, and it's not mutual that they're there and for seeking professional help. And when when a professional says, "Hey, you guys need to separate," I think I think the relationship's doomed. That's what I feel. Sometimes it may not be right, but what do you feel about that?
Lots and lots of things. It's such a complex mix here. And firstly, what I'll say is, let's keep in mind, a lot of us clinicians or coaches as well work online. So you might want to get in touch with your friend and say, "Hey, do you want to do a Skype?" Because a lot of us do that. That's what I do. My audience is worldwide. And if it's someone who's good and they can see and they notice, they'll see in your physiology what's going on. You don't need to be in the room necessarily. I've worked with couples for 20 years. And what I'd say is, firstly, is 50-50 what's going on. Yeah. Within reason, obviously. But It's never one person is an F up or one person is in struggle and the other person. It's equally in life, in my opinion, with anything. When we're intolerant, I'll just say this because it's important, of other people's beliefs and views and ways of being and so on, it is because we're intolerant of a part of us which we've cut off, shut down, put it in a box, judged it, and conveniently judge it in other people because it doesn't have anything to do with us and we don't identify.
Right.
So if we're ever looking to control, manipulate, contort, shift, change something in someone else, it's because we're not whole. So you're fighting yourself outside of yourself.
Right.
And until we as clinicians know this, therapists will do this with you. So the thing about us as people is, we could all be having a therapy session now. And, however many there are of us, we'll all have a different view of what we've said based on our psychology and how we hear things and what we're attentive to and what resonates. And we contort stuff. Tony Robbins says this, to meet our human needs, we'll contort and manipulate our ethics and morals to make sure that we feel we're sure of something. So we need to be kind with ourselves sometimes to check. I did this with a client actually once. I said to her, "What is it you heard?" Because she was really pissed at me. And she said, "You said this and you said that." I absolutely didn't. And I said, "It's interesting because those words aren't words that are in my vocabulary." Literally, stupid, she said, I called her. So I don't use that word. For very good reason. I could give you a long monologue about why I don't use that word. And she was like, "Oh God, yeah, I do this." And, luckily for us, I'm reflective enough to go when I F up, I'll say, "Listen, I was really clumsy. I'm terribly sorry. That wasn't my intention." So for me, with couples, it is, what are we doing there? What is it that is happening for you? What do you see as a vision for you as an individual, for you as a couple? What is it that you like? What is it that you don't? Because classically, I'll have couples come and it will be a symptom of something that's the problem.
Right.
So for me, I do the work. I don't just deal with the symptom, because that for me would be, I wouldn't be doing my job. There's always about something far greater than, the mortgage payments or the fact you didn't show up at the altar or the fact that I'm erectile dysfunction or whatever. This stuff's there, and it doesn't have to take years and years and years. But sometimes, again, therapists are human, which is why we need clinical supervisors supervising our clinical work. So one guy, for example, God love him, his wife left him. He told me when we sat down to meet him, we did do our research. He was a very well-known guy, very brilliant, written book, everything. And what did he say? I'm a relational expert, meaning he's a relationship expert who, incidentally, his wife left him the following time for a woman. So, what work can you do on yourself, mate? Because we're all human, right? It goes wrong for us in life.
Yeah.
But I remember him, he was sort of in his late 60s and sort of lofty and very, I am this person, therefore I know. And he said, the two of you are too damaged to be in a relationship with anyone. And I was like, my word.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. And I would agree. We were both very damaged people, absolutely. Having said that, that's quite something. And I actually wrote it down and showed it to him later another time. And he was like, I was in my defensive place because I was getting triggered about my stuff. And I'm like, well, please tell your clients that. because this stuff we take to the grave, some of us.
Right. We have Heather. She says, my therapist told me that I couldn't see her anymore after 1 year of once a month meetings. She told me that some people become dependent on a therapist. While I made some improvements, I'm not mentally well now. I have no therapist. Well, there you go. Reach out to Poppy, right? Because you do online stuff, right?
Online, very much so. It's quite specific, the niche where I work individually, one-on-one with people. We've got many programs, many groups, and the free group, which you can dip your toe in and get a sense of us, is a group where we talk about human issues. I went live very recently saying I'm experiencing a depression. Oh, I'm going to do this live so that hopefully somebody can benefit, because I don't know what's going to happen. And this group came of it. The important thing is we discuss stuff. And that happens to be very important in therapy with therapists as well, because ultimately, brilliant. We're doing brilliant. Some people are doing amazing stuff. But what on earth is going on in our culture? We've got to the point where we feel alone and we go alone into a room to talk with someone else alone about how alone we are. You know, it's kind of like, hang on a minute.
Right. Yeah, it's a sad state, the way we how we handle ourselves and handle situations, you know, where we are defensive and we have fear to become a better you. And, you know, I've been there, and, you know, it's sometimes, I think anybody that hasn't said they haven't been there, or they're lying to themselves. I think we've all dealt with fear and put up walls in our lives because of hurt and pain. What is some advice that you can give to someone that might be struggling today, that it's just they're in this process where they're hitting a wall, they're getting resistance from people around them, and they're really coming to the conclusion like, well, maybe I do need to take a look at some things in my life. What is some encouragement for them to take the right steps to become a better you?
Well, it's in the doing bit. And this talks to, I think, our lovely lady's question about, or experience with the therapist who says, you know, some people become dependent on their therapist. We do. Sometimes we facilitate friendships and clients and situations where we're renting a parent, essentially, as opposed to, and therapists, sometimes we're not very skillful at this. My profession doesn't train people terrifically well, in my opinion, but that's about our culture, not the profession, I would say. But it is about looking at a really powerful question, I would say, with anything, is what is your complaint of others and the world, or politics, or the binman, or whatever, and where is it you're doing that to yourself?
Right.
And that's not to lay blame that it's my fault and I've done it, but we get mirrors, we'll get reflections of ourselves in other people and how they attend to us or don't. And many of us, we look to change our feelings and how our lives are based on, if I manipulate this person, if I lie to them, if I'm nice, where we can look at what are the daily habits and disciplines for health that have people thrive and feel good. Who's living good? Who's happy? What do they do? What do you feel? Write to them, read their books, watch their lives, you know, stay on this show, you know, set your notifications, for goodness sake, on the people that you want to follow.
Yes.
And we do this. I have a daily show, Monday to Friday, Daily Disciplines. It's called Mastery Mornings, where we just talk about the epic amount of stuff that we need to do to thrive in life. And that involves being mindful. It's not about being a saint and doing tick, 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 all the right things, but being aware. You know, when I say yes to talking to my mum for an hour rather than 15 minutes about the dogs, whatever, is it serving me and her that we're talking about something that doesn't connect us? In fact, it frustrates us both, because we both know we want to talk about the fact that she left when I was 5 and now she's back and I don't get it, and etc. Right. So there's so much we can do. And what I would say is it's the proximity list stuff. It's looking at who in life, whoever they are, because it's very personal, is doing life in a way that I find fascinating or healthy, and we copy them.
Now, let me ask you this. Can I ask you this? Like, dealing with a lot of things that you probably deal with people coming to you, do you think like Facebook, you know, Facebook has its good and its bad? And do you feel like a lot of people deal with a lot of depression and fear based on an addiction to Facebook? of what they're like feeding themselves daily. Cause I mean, you're doing a daily life 5 days a week. You're pushing positivity, pushing people to be better at themselves, and I think, in general, yeah, you can like monitor your feed and correct your feed. But I think a lot of people just, they live by everything that they see on Facebook or the news, and it negative, and they don't feed their soul and their mind what they initially need. And what are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, that's the whole reason why we started the show. Is I saw at BeLive.tv, we can how to do a better live stream. We could do this, but what about becoming a better you? And I said, there's so many shows out there, but there's really hardly any shows that people are focusing on themselves of how to become a better you and be a positive light, because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has this shining light ready to come out and beam and change the world. And that's the whole purpose of the show, is they ignite people to get out of break their cycles and step into what their destiny is and find that thing and just change the world. Do you feel like the Facebook world really has a lot to do with a lot of people's depression and the way they feel? Because I mean, it's an addiction now. Social media is an addiction for a lot of people.
Well, I've got lots of thoughts on it. Firstly, what I'd say is, humans corrupt stuff. Whatever you give us, we will find a way to corrupt it if we so choose, like water, right? We're made of water. I drink half your body weight in ounces of water is going to help you, all of us.
Right.
And, people make this shit into Coke. Hello?
Yeah.
It's craziness. It's the same with Facebook. For me, Facebook, I'm a fan in a massive way.
Yeah.
The thing with Facebook is it meets all 6 of our human needs.
Right.
And we do stuff to meet our human needs, and we often do it negatively, i.e. it hurts us, or positively. So Facebook meets the need for connection and love, the need for significance, the need for certainty, the need for growth, the need for contribution, etc. Meets them all. And as Tony Robbins says, you meet 3 of your human needs with one behavior and you're addicted to that thing.
Right.
So some people will meet the need for connection and love through something like this, for example, because we're beautiful and amazing.
That's right.
And they take it's a human need, right? And significance, maybe, because I watched the Jeff Adams show with Poppy and so on. We do this. Sometimes we meet the need through of connection, or significance, or certainty, or uncertainty, or whatever, through. Did you hear what Jeff said? Yeah, he was, he's judgmental. And that Poppy girl, and we get connection through the gossipy kind of stuff.
Right.
So people that we're going to do, whatever we put in the world, we're going to corrupt it. So it's up to us. What do we want to do? Are you going to use it to feed yourself or kill yourself? Your choice. Choice after choice after choice, everything we do.
And, maybe give some insight too, because I just thought of that too. It's like I was saying this, I think it was yesterday, because everything in moderation, right? But with me, based around what I do, it's based around a lot of social media and a lot of apps and things. So for me, when I'm on there, I feel like I'm working, but I just said, hey, I just did a random comment about NBA, about the NBA should be ashamed of themselves, yada, yada. I don't need to get into details, but
people.
I put a random post on, and
about
every
sport.
time I put a post, Facebook can be literally exhausting, because you put a post on and there's people that just will chime in and just like I could say the sky is blue, and then they say it's red. It doesn't necessarily make me upset what they say. It's necessarily like, I don't have time to sit here and have arguments. People are so argumentative on Facebook,
But in a way, I love that, because it's not personal.
Right.
To just, again, be seen, heard, understood, and made to feel that we matter. It's like Lou Martin, again, he quotes the Course of Miracles: everything is love or a cry for love.
Right.
So people, one, we can be really discerning on who's on our Facebook feed. And okay, yeah, you want followers, but sometimes it's one strike and you're out, motherfucker. No, get off. Sometimes it equally is, but I just want you to see me. I mean, many of us, I'm sure, will say, yeah, I've said things before, and it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, I'm not really behind that, but I feel defensive, so I'm trying to make a point. Or, we reached for each other many times, and it's clumsy and messy, and, it happens a lot. I was with a lady the other day. She was talking in a group, and she was actually holding the people she was talking, holding them, as if to say, don't leave me, you know, listen, I'm important. And that wasn't great for some of the people. So we get to look at this stuff, how we show up in the world and what we choose. And, you know, sometimes it's just innocent. We just want to connect, and we're messing it up because we're so scared that we will be rejected, that we end up being defensive. So we get rejected. But for me, we're never really setting out to hurt other people. We're often just setting out to make an impact, and we do it in a clumsy way. And I don't know that there are many people who can't identify with that.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really complex too. I mean, there's so many facets to this thing, because it's kind of new. I mean, social media has been around for like 11 years and whatnot, but there's so much deep stuff that I think people hide behind. There's like this false reality sometimes that people portray, and I see a lot of people that I know in my life that they hide behind social media, but when you get around them, like on a personal level, it's just a completely different story. You know, it's like this false reality. Let's post and look happy, and then, you know, in the midst of like you're not live, or the photos are not there, it's all broken down, there's some serious hurt and pain
I'll
there.
give you an example which is profound,
Yeah.
and this is the point. And I saw I should find it and post it again. I saw a little photograph. It's a photograph of basically a woman doing this with her fingers.
Yeah.
And she set it up so that the camera makes it look like legs with a Palm Beach, you know, scene, and she's just there with her mobile phone doing this essentially. But it looks like she's on a desert island, for Christ's sake. But I in San Diego here, I'm in Coronado, which is a little city, and San Diego's just over here, and I work sometimes down there with the homeless. We have an epidemic of homelessness in San Diego, and people, somebody should do something, right? We are somebody, so step up, in my opinion.
Right.
And there was a woman, I was talking to her, and she goes, oh, do you want to get together on Facebook? Because she's a homeless lady. And I'm like, okay. And she said, I don't often have money for I don't know what it's called in the States, but the pay-as-you-go thing.
Yeah.
And on her Facebook feed, okay, she's not living the life of Riley, but you don't know she's homeless. Let's put it that way. You don't know that she gets her shoes stolen each week and comes to get new ones from us because, of course, she needs to sleep and somebody pinches her shoes, etc. So we get to be, and it happened actually with a lady I was talking to recently in Coronado. We have a bridge, and I'm talking about it a lot because it's very important. Since 1969, when it was built, 415 people have suicided. It's paradise here. This is paradise. Big style. People are hurting themselves, killing themselves. Craziness what we're doing to ourselves. And a local towns lady took her life recently, and I was talking to a lady just about something else, and she said, I'm overwhelmed, like, wow, about this death. She said, only recently, I was looking to her thinking, she's so beautiful, she's so well put together, she's so bright, she's so this, she's so that, and I'm so terrible. And then she sees that this woman took her life. We're bullshitters in life. Yeah. And it's not helping anyone. It's hurting us. Which is why I have this group. This is for me and for you, for us to go in there and go, this is me, peeps. How are you? What are you doing? You know, it's not about boohoo, my trauma life. This is about what works for me, what doesn't. So we can help really heal the planet. This is about world peace stuff. But the bullshit, I'm fine, that's not helping anybody. Right.
And that's what I initially saw when, I did some other shows for BeLive.tv, and I initially saw, because I would base things off, I would see things in Facebook Lives, people commenting, and I would see people's posts, because people just, it's the community aspect. We all crave community. We all crave a sense to belong and find our purpose. And a lot of that, I think people are so closed off with fear, and Facebook is like a platform where they can find community, but they're so closed off sometimes. They don't want to open themselves up to a community and have that accountability, and having someone say, look, man, snap out of it. You're living a lie. And I think people are scared of that. So, and initially when people don't shake out of that, they become the trolls of the internet, because they're miserable people. And they want to shine their light on everybody, not their negative light on everybody, because they're just miserable people, and they don't want to step into that. And, and literally, when we first started this program, that was a whole initially, we'll go to your group initially too, is I saw such a need for this, that people were just hurting so bad and they needed an outlet. And I said, you know what? I've been through a lot of my life. I can just be as transparent as I can possibly be and try to steer people in the right direction and get them functioning and to live a happy, healthy life, because life is too short to be miserable, right? And stuck in a cycle, and it's powerful. And thank God for what you're doing and helping people every single day, and trying to snap people out of it, and snap people out of this false reality of social media too. I mean, I really say that because people like to hide behind it, and they like to post. It's the image of, like, you go back to church days or whatever, you had like the church photos, and initially in that church photo that, everybody's like, oh, they were a perfect family. Look at them. And you look at a picture, but initially in that family photo, you don't see when the camera's off, and you don't see the dysfunction, and you don't see the hurt and pain, in photos and live streams. You can put on a hat and go, but transparency is the key to taking the first step of living a happy, healthy life. Do you agree with that?
1,000,000%. And we're talking about it, so much authenticity. Well, what is that to you? And what are you doing with it? And who's teaching you? Because I meet people every day, all day, and I'm a pretty healthy person, and we attract what we are. So I get all kinds of stuff. And I meet people, every single person. But again, I would say would benefit from having a good look at themselves. People say, I say, hi, what's your name? Oh, it's Yasvardanda, but Karen for short, for the English and the Americans who are fucking idiots and can't pronounce it, but they don't try.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. So what does that say about how you present yourself to people every day of your life? Nobody knows your name, my love. Well, no, it doesn't matter. And then if you go in there, there's a life of, I don't matter. It's, I'm here for for your viewing pleasure, or to make life easier for you. We become certain things based on our environment when we're growing up. We manipulate ourselves. We're very adaptive. We're brilliant. It's genius. As I often say, in childhood, this stuff is really creative and gets us through. In adulthood, it doesn't work. It kills us.
Right.
Every time we're suffering, it's not just us. Other people are looking at us going, well, she doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. We're in some trouble. We need to be speaking, and we need to be getting around people who are pretty fearless. And I heard what got me a while ago, I heard Brene Brown talk. I'm such a fan of hers. Vulnerability TED, for anybody, if you haven't seen it, the TED Talk's extraordinary. And she said the thing about humans is we talk about the struggle after we've written the book. We don't talk about it while we're in it. And I thought, well, here am I going potentially into a depression. I was 3.5 years very, very sick. I'm coming out now to say, help, one, and two, what I'm doing, and maybe you'll identify. And it was imperative for my life to do that.
Absolutely.
Or another parallel where actually I'm in a psychiatric hospital, and you're saying, oh, did anybody hear that poppy chick who suicided? That's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking at the time. I have never, like, seriously, I say this all the time, but I have never, ever, all right, I say this a lot, but this is literally the fastest Live Positive in existence. Like, the time flew by, like, really, really fast. We got to have you back on the broadcast. This was powerful. We're not done yet. We got about, a good 5 minutes to go, but real quick too, Cheryl, my friend, can you post in the chat Poppy's group? Poppy, where can they find your group, and where can they find your lives? And Cheryl, my good friend, could you post that in there, please?
Yeah.
So people can find Poppy online. If you're looking for professional help, if you're looking to snap out of it, she's doing these groups. She's doing lives 5 times a week. She's got a special group that she's doing, and share that with the fine folks out here.
Okay, so I have a professional page, Poppy, on Facebook. So if you search for me, Poppy Sprague, I'm probably going to come up, and there's a photo of me crouched down looking like this with a heart. And if you go onto that page, you can follow that page. But equally, if you tap on Poppy, it says, I don't know, Poppy's job or something. You tap on Poppy, it'll take you to my professional page. where there's a welcome video that tells you all about the programs that I do, the paid programs. They're pretty, $65 mastery, monthly payments and so on. It's not a lot of money that I'm charging here at this juncture, although it will go up and change and shift, but I'll always make it, accessible for many of us. This is for me and for you, hashtag this is for me and for you, is a group on Facebook. It's a group of us. There's about 200 people in there now. And you get to look at the welcome video, check it out. If you like it, great, stay. If you don't, leave. And if you want more, then Amanda at poppysprague.com, you can contact her. We have a free video series on mindset, emotion, and action, which we give to people. And obviously, we want your email address, which is why we're doing it. But I also would love for you to get the goods. I'm not one of those, you get an email a week or anything. I don't think I've ever emailed anybody, but we're doing a lot of stuff is the point. Mastery mornings for daily disciplines. We've got Thrive, the group on assertion. We've got Self-Mastery, which is my baby. It's a 12-month program to do what it says on the tin. If you want to master your psychology, you get in. You could come for a month, see if you like it, stay, don't stay, whatever it is. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment because, again, it's just so important that we do something different. Is it working for you is often my question. And if the answer is no, then okay, we get to be creative about who we find that's cool to work with.
Right.
Did I
there
answer
you go.
that?
It's an amazing thing. And then literally I am just mesmerized by people in the professional world, changing the world in a professional manner, but also on a relational manner more than anything. And Poppy, thank you that for all you're doing on Facebook and the people that you're reaching to guide them in the right direction with their lives. I appreciate you, and we got to have you back real soon as a guest. Would you be willing to do that?
100,000,000%. Thank you. And thank you for you, because this is a news show of positivity, right? I mean, hell,
absolutely.
Need that. Thank you. So please, when you go to bed tonight, you do counsel and mentor and heal and cure people with what you're doing. So thank you, brother.
High fives. All right. Thanks, Poppy. Well, guys, we do this every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thanks for hanging out. Make sure you step out of the realm of your cycle. And if you want to do something life-changing and change the world, step out of it. You don't have to live that way anymore. Find a community. Find people that you can trust. And let's all learn to live positive. We'll see you next week.